right? And it gets fun when you're managing your finances and you've sorted and qualified your guys, sort and qualify your database, run the mayor campaign, like just do the same thing I said 4 times in this podcast.
Yeah.
Once you do that and you're making your money, you get to kind of enjoy life.
You tell me when to go. Thank you for joining. I am Kate Broddick, and you are in the vault with the Kate Broddick team. And I am so excited to have my friend and colleague, Ravi Singh with the Connexus Group, here to talk about his successes, things he would stay away from at the beginning of his career, or advice to new agents of things to not spend too much time on. And then we're going to get into the energy of your team and the longevity, because you've had agents for a very long time. And then last but not least, we are going to finish up with a question and a challenge from our last guest, Shay McLeod from McLeod & Associates, and you're going to give us a question and a challenge for our next guest. So welcome. Thank you for making the very big drive from Durham region.
Yeah, you know what, Kate, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to join you today. And I think post-pandemic, the more that we can actually see people face-to-face, get together, collaborate at a high level, those are all things that I think generally the real estate agent DNA,
Yes,
like we covet and we need, right?
We do.
So it's nice to do this today. And it was a pleasant drive. It was 407, 403, and
407, 403.
2 hours of phone calls first thing in the morning. Good start to the day.
That's what makes you a top agent. You utilize your time on your drive. And when you said when you first came in here, you had that all mapped out for when you knew you had that 2-hour drive.
Yeah, and we were talking about just the summer. Well, yesterday it felt like New Year's Day for a lot of realtors, I think, because kids are gone, put your head down, get your work done.
Yeah,
right?
And we're going to talk about that, because one of my favorite things that I took from you and I take from your socials is to just do the work to gain success.
No drama.
No drama.
It's not hard to just work and do your job, but somehow you can get distracted.
Yeah.
Right.
And the kids being home was one of those.
Yes, absolutely.
So yay for back to school.
Yeah.
Before we get started, though, I would love for you to take a moment to tell our guests a little bit about yourself, how you got into real estate, how you started the Connexus Group, and what you see moving forward before we get into the big questions.
Yeah, so I'm a realtor based in Toronto, and when I was graduating from university, I was convinced that Ravi Singh had to work for Ravi Singh. That was just something that I firmly believed in, but I did land an opportunity to work at IBM. In their sales, in a sales role, and I was working at IBM, but at the same time I was throwing parties, and I was a pretty successful nightclub promoter in Toronto. Actually, we were probably definitely one of the biggest nightclub promoters in Toronto. So we hosted 4 nights a week, and I worked 5 days a week for IBM. So this was like this conflict, this inner conflict, like I'd be at work kind of towing the line, but then I'd have this thriving business that was, very successful and fun and rewarding.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was very sick. And I think, I had mentioned this to you in the past, like I was dealing with this challenge called ulcerative colitis. And I remember around October, this would have been 2005, I was just in such extreme malnourishment and exhaustion and fatigue, and I couldn't function at work. And it was my mom, actually. She talked to me, and she really kind of just inspired me to just take a gap year, right, and just kind of figure things out. I remember I resigned on Diwali, which is the Hindu festival about prosperity and success and goodness over evil, et cetera, et cetera. And she wrote me this beautiful card. And when I woke up that morning, I read the card, I handed in my resignation. Then I called my dad. He was at the office and he was a workhorse, right? And I said, hey, Dad, I've retired from IBM, or I've resigned. He's like, we'll talk about this when I get home. I'm like, no, there's nothing to talk about. I've resigned. And that was the start, right? I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I knew I wanted an entrepreneurial role. Well, and I remember this, December 28th, 2005, this girl comes to buy tickets for my New Year's Eve party at my house. And she comes in, we meet, and our romance starts.
Ah, your wife.
She started working. She was working at a company called Colliers International, and this is a huge commercial firm in Ontario and globally. And she says, Ravi, maybe you should consider being a realtor. And I didn't know much about the profession at that time, but I researched, I learned more. And I remember in March, we were going for a walk on the beach in Miami. And I said to her, I just want to positively impact people. And looking back on my career, looking at the choice that I made to get licensed that year, which was 2006, and looking at what I've been able to do for my team, but also for my clients, what I realized is what really, gives me a sense of gratitude and satisfaction is creating positive impact for others. And driving down a street and saying, oh, Razzie lives there, Patricia lives there, that condo, I helped Jay with, over there. And doing this as you go through a neighborhood, as I'm sure you do,
yes,
there's this sense of accomplishment. At IBM, I was just kind of helping their bottom line, I guess, whereas this was an actual sense of joy and accomplishment.
I love that. So your mom inspired the change and your wife inspired your path.
Yeah. And you know what? I think any sort of setback or challenge that you get along the way, they're great lessons. And I think when you have great people around you, it's kind of like the tide taking out all the boats. It's going to take you out too. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the right wave, you're going to go in the right direction. I'm very fortunate that I have amazing women around me.
Oh, I love that. And I just have to make a comment because you are one of the most calming people to be around. And when you said that you ran a nightclub, I'm like, okay, we need to go back to that. How did that start? But
yeah, so you know what? So I guess around 2000, I was 20 years old. Myself and my cousin Ajay, we threw a party. It was mildly successful, meaning people had a good time, but we lost money. And anybody who's in the nightlife industry will get that, right? And some friends who are some of my closest friends today, on the drive here, I had a call with one of them who's pre-IPO on a fintech company. They approached us and said, you're going to Seneca, you're going to U of T. Why don't we start this thing where on the first Friday of every month you host this event called First Fridays? And it's interesting. That funneled into a partnership. That funneled into, like legendary Toronto nightlife. Like we're talking like up to now, people still talk about our events.
I love that.
And we were known as, Pearl Lounge Fridays, District Fridays, Joker on long weekend Sundays, a host of clubs on Saturdays. Like we were really plugged in. And it's interesting. All of my team comes from hospitality in one way or another. And I had a conversation with another agent. They said, if you were looking to onboard someone into real estate, what would you look for? And he's like, I'd probably look for someone who may have spent some time in hospitality, who understands the sales process, and who understands, that Maya Angelou quote about making the way you make people feel, who understands that, right? Like there's a transfer of energy, there's an emotion, there's a charisma, there's a positivity that you have to be able to transfer to people, right?
Give them the experience.
100%, Kate. And for me, It's interesting because I do have that calming side, and many people comment on that.
Yes.
That's another sort of superpower sometimes when it comes to the stress, anxiety, and pressure regarding selling a house. So you couple that with the excitement, fun, and positivity with, hey, exhale, I got this.
Yeah.
Relax, you're in good hands. You don't have to worry because I've already figured out what you might be worrying about and I've formed a solution.
Yeah.
That, if you bottle that, you're a successful realtor.
Well, and the great thing about this is, this comes up all the time, Jamie? Top realtors who are dialed into relationship building are always talking about energy. They're talking about the transfer of it, how to motivate the client in a positive way while keeping emotions at a stable level. Because real estate really can be up and down. And what I love about you is that you said one of the things that I just emailed my team about today is about talking to sellers and offering problem-based solutions rather than shying away from hard conversations. Lead into the conversations with, this is the strategy we need to take. Right? Offering people solutions rather than just creating the problem in front of them without any strategy to get to their goal or their why, which is another thing we talked about.
Yeah, like for me, part of my business I consider risk management, right?
Yeah.
We need to create an environment where we're setting up wins,
Yes.
right? And sometimes that's not sold over asking. That's not multiple offers. Depending on the market dynamics, as we're seeing right now, different places need different framing, different wins. If you say to someone, this is the solution that we offer and it's prepackaged, it's not catered, it's not tailored, it's not focused on that particular challenge and that particular solution that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I agree. And what I would love to get into with you is, because I'm a big fan of yours. I actually and you wouldn't know this because I was high up in the stands at the Buzz conference, and you were speaking, I believe, on behalf of, I think, Kathleen Black.
Right.
And she was, the way she introduced you, I could see such an admiration for how you treat your people, which is something we're going to get into. We talked about the low turnover you've had with your team, the longevity of the relationships you've formed with your team. But before we get into that, because I love your approach to real estate, I love your approach to clients. I was a big fan of your listing presentation with Tom Story last fall. And I think you offer such a great perspective to new and experienced agents, because once again, I'm an experienced agent, but I took so many gold nuggets from you. And I think that the world needs more sharing. I think our industry needs more sharing. And I think our industry needs to open themselves up to reflect on how their business can change and be catapulted into another growth level by listening to people like yourself. So I would love to hear if you could think about, once again, it's so hard to say, what made you successful, because it's everything about Ravi, all the things that you've done, the relationships you've built, the work that you've done. But if you could pinpoint 3 areas in your business that have helped create success, maybe the people listening here, whether they're new or experienced agents, could take a look at that and see how can they implement that into their business models.
Yeah, and Kate, I agree with what you said about sharing. I think that a high level of collaboration is healthy for our industry.
Yes.
And for me, my business is very simple. What I plan to do every year is grow by 22% by getting 22% return on my database. And what I mean by that, and this is kind of from my coaching company that I've learned this, is if you create a successful touch program just means you're driving home top-of-mindedness and value to your clients, your past clients and your new clients. And if you create a culture of referrals, what you're going to end up seeing is you're going to end up seeing your database growing by X amount every year. So what this looks like for me in pure numerical kind of analytical way is if you have 100 people in your database and you are truly completely desired by them for everything real estate, you've created high-level advocacy. The average Canadian moves every 5 to 7 years. So that means in that 100 people, about 18 people are going to move that year. So what you need to do is you need to be there for their buy and sell. And then if you've created that high level of advocacy, you're going to have people in the elevator of their condo building hearing someone talk. They're going to say, wait, are you thinking about moving? Hold on. You got to talk to Ravi.
Yes.
You're going to have people at, school pickup talking to their friend, and they're saying, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I got a new job. We got to move to Ottawa. Oh, my God. Stop everything. Ravi's your guy, right? And this advocacy only comes with this high level of value and top of mindedness. So 18 transactions on 100 people plus another 18 should come as referral. Now you've done 36 transactions with 100 people.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of people. But by the way, you just got 18 referrals. So your database has grown by 18 people.
Yeah.
Which means that, again, you should do another 2 transactions on that. Now, this is not a complicated thing. This is not, shiny and new. This is literally, I think like Zig Ziglar or whoever, Jim Rohn, like the first OG, real estate trainer back in the day said this is what you do.
Yeah.
And I don't do much else. I don't do open house. I don't door knock. I don't prospect traditionally. I don't spend on Google ads. So, if you can really, like you said, drill in on relationships, create tactful, mindful approach of one-on-one contact with the people who want to see you do well, and then find more people like that, you're going to have a plethora of business.
Sounds so simple, but my God, if everybody implemented this into their business, it's about nurturing the people you have rather than constantly wanting more leads, but letting them fall through the cracks because you're not nurturing them.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You said a 4-letter word, all right? And any agent will get calls from telemarketers saying, oh, would you like more leads? LEAD. You know what I say? I say, I don't want more leads. And they're like, wait, what? Like, I can get you 10 more leads every day. I say, no, I don't want leads. I want clients.
Yeah.
I don't want leads. I want people. I don't want leads. I want, an actual business, right? And like, if you take a look at the States, and I look at NAR, and I look at Zillow, and I look at their transactional style, we found kind of this healthy balance in Canada and in Ontario and in GTA where people still covet their go-to for real estate, right? It's not like, oh, I went on Zillow, I got his estimate. We've really protected our industry by people like you, people in the industry raising the bar and really putting people first.
Yes.
It's not about deals. It's not about leads. It's not about transactions. It's about helping people with their homes.
It sounds so easy, but you know what, Ravi? You've got to do the work and you've got to care. I would love to hear about some of the ways that you keep a mindful relationship with those contacts, because I will be the first one to say that throughout the years, even building my own team, some of the struggles that I've heard has been from my agents being, 1, fearful of rejection, 2, unaware or unsure as to how to engage with those clients without becoming too salesy. Because I truly believe that their heart isn't to be pushy, but they are running a business. There is a fine line there of building the relationship, keeping top of mind, being mindful in your communication. So what are some of the things that you would suggest to new and experienced agents?
So very simple. 12 times a year, I send out an email. It's a video email called How's the Market? And that goes out on the first Tuesday of every first Tuesday of the month. Hey guys, listen, I know people have questions about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Here's some answers. X, Y, Z. If you need anything, let me know. Second thing, at the beginning of the year, I send out every year the Connexus Group Trades and Services Directory, which is just a collection of all my trades, all my good people, and that goes out. Third thing, we do an event called Get Rich Slow. And Get Rich Slow is geared towards people who are in their home, have equity, but might want to dabble in this thing that they keep hearing about from Robert Kiyosaki about generating wealth in real estate, or whomever, right? Donald Trump, whomever. Right? Fourth thing, in the summer, remember I come from the nightlife industry, we have client events. So we just did one called Paparazzi, which was for all the parents, like the pet parents. We just did one called Mutual Release, which was like after work, drinks at a bar. We're doing one called Homecoming, which is like fall harvest picnic day with UTSC. So we do client events, which allows for invite, follow-up, thank you for coming, hosting.
Yeah.
So you got touches there. And then right there, you're probably at about 20 touches. And then we do one-on-ones. So coffees, dinners, lunches, social gatherings, anniversary check-ins.
Yes.
Kate, listen, I know you've been in your house for 5 years. Just want to share with you, this is your purchase record. These are the 3 houses that sold most directly comparable to yours over the last 3 months. I'm not saying this is what your house is worth, but I mean, it's good to see this equity growth. I hope you're doing well. If you need anything, let me know. Another thing, just a quick screen capture. On the closing anniversary of their house, we just send a screen capture, say, hey, happy anniversary. And then we do specific tactful things for specific, what we call mavens. So mavens in our database are the people who just have the referral antennas out all the time, right? It's like everybody needs 5 mavens and you're good, right?
I'm never going to forget. Okay, mavens, where did that come from?
So I don't know. I think I heard it somewhere, right? Somewhere, probably on a podcast, right?
Yeah.
But I love my mavens, right? And it might be something simple like I've got a girl that we used to flip homes, and incredible person, giving, nurturing. Like I will literally, like I'm her. This is going to sound funny, but I'm her daughter's godfather because of how close we've become over the years through a professional relationship. But like I know, like, you know, that relationship needs time. And as we get busier, I think that's the big challenge, right? It's like as we get busier, as we have more people, how do we scale and manage that? Right?
Yeah.
But so Rich Robbins, who I'm coach with, he always says DTU, deliver the unexpected. Right? And start with your mavens. Start with the people who literally, for no benefit to themselves, send you all this business. And you might say, well, people don't send me all that business. You need to course correct what you're doing.
Yes, you do. Very good. And how do you do that?
Well, if you're not seeing that business generated from your database, generally speaking, you're not doing one of 2 things. Demonstrating high level of competency or demonstrating high level of care. Like, here's something. If you're on social media and all you're doing is reposting memes from the broke agent, nobody who's buying and selling a house needs to see that. That is funny to realtors.
Yeah, and only to realtors.
Right? That's not going to help. You know, like, okay, like yesterday I challenged my whole team. I said, guys, just pick 5 people that have kids that are school aged and send each one of them a $5 Starbucks gift card.
And you did that. You did a challenge with your team?
Yes.
Team, we also did a challenge, and it started yesterday.
Yeah,
I love that.
Right, and what I do, so in February and in September, I have 2 challenges for my team. And by the way, this is a good thing for people who run teams to think about. Have a face-to-face fall kickoff. Sit down with everybody. Have everybody raise their hand and commit to the fall challenge, and then sign a contract. And then your job is just simply to say, hey, here's a contract. How are you doing? And if they're failing, your job is to course correct. If they're winning, your job is to cheerlead.
Yes, and elevate, encourage, motivate.
And, you know, Kate, like, I know we're going to talk a little bit about team growth and sort of being a team leader. I will argue that our industry is slightly upside down, where top producers are then given the role of team leaders. Yeah. And if you're a great agent, it doesn't mean you necessarily need to be a team leader. Maybe you need an amazing stager, 2 admins, a personal assistant, and a showing agent, and a referral agent for buyers, and you don't need a team.
Yeah.
But maybe there's people like yourself or like myself who want to see other agents become top producers.
Yes.
And, you know, my view on being a team leader, I'd argue it's slightly disruptive because my view, I look at the entire thing from a position of what we call servant leadership.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people, there's incredible team leaders who have created great top-of-mindedness, who have basically become, the face of their team. And that's amazing. Except if I've got this incredibly entrepreneurial, hyper-driven, startup young agent, and they will steadily feel like they're in a support role or a background role, that might be prohibitive to them reaching their ultimate as an agent. I wrote a blog probably about 10 years ago. It got some recognition where I said, I don't want to be Diana Ross and the Supremes or Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. I want to be the 96 Chicago Bulls where everybody's an all-star. I want to be the Olympic Dream Team where literally every single person could win the entire tournament by themselves.
Yes.
And cultivating that entrepreneurial spirit that we incubate you, we give you all the tools to build your business. It's a little bit of a different sort of twist on, I've got amazing colleagues, I'm just going to pick on Team Gorin or Michelle Fraser or Sam McDaddy or, Daryl King. They're amazing team leaders. But I think their teams, which are amazing, are different than mine.
Yeah.
Right? And both work. It's just I've got a slightly different vision.
And upholding that vision is staying true to who you are and what your why is, right?
Yes.
And we spoke a little bit about that outside with, do you grow, do you stay the same, or do you continue moving forward with like-minded people with similar values? And we will get into that. And I love that you address that because I think the word team leader is often kind of a blanket for one role that really comes in many different shapes and sizes. And it really does depend on what your goals are as a team leader, because you can be the Rob Golfies of real estate. And you know what? Most successful realtor in our area in Hamilton, we're close to Brantford. But he is that one-man show. You see Rob all over his stuff, and all the power to him because he's driven such an admirable brand for himself. My team is run a little different, the Kate Broddick team, but I feel empowered for my why to have my people around me on all of our marketing. Neither one of them is right, but it's very conducive to what our goals and our why is, right?
And Kate, I did two things probably about 8 years ago that were based around two questions, all right? So I used to be the Ravi Singh team or Ravi Singh group, and I said, how can I create something that when I sell or when I pass off business, it's not about me.
Yes.
And I intentionally hired a company and we came up with the word Connexus. I don't love it, but I like it. Connexus has a combination of three words: connect, next, and nexus. And the idea is, in real estate, we connect you to what's next. And your home is not a mere dwelling place. It's the nexus of your existence. It's where you share meals. It's where you raise your family. It's where you spend most of your time. It's your nexus, right? So we came up with Connexus, and nobody calls Connexus and says, "Oh, I want to talk to Mr. Connexus." Nobody.
Well,
right?
they could.
I guess, right? But if they called Ravi Singh team, they'd be like, "I want to talk to Ravi."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe you want to talk to Ashley because Ashley's got this listing. No, I want to talk to Ravi. That doesn't happen with us.
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
And then the second thought is, if you can create something that's sellable, that's marketable, that has, this sort of transferable identity, then you have to maintain that vision. And I don't mean logos and type font. I mean, what do you stand for?
Yes.
Right? And that to me that's the main sort of criteria for anybody I would ever onboard.
And that's good though, because at the end of the day, you are very aware of what it is you're looking for. And I'm really excited, but this is at the end of the podcast, to share a question that Shay has for you that is very centered around this. And it's so interesting to me that I knew you were the next guest. And when she asked this question of you, I was like, this is right up Ravi's alley, and I can't wait to hear the answer. But before we do get into that, I think hopefully everyone who was listening to your I guess, lead generation touch points. I hope people are making notes on that, because you gave, I mean, I was mentally writing down all 5 of them myself. Like, how do you inspire engaging relationships with the people that you already have? And to me, that's something that's been so lost. We've become in the center of a world where it's, I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more. And we forget about what we already have. And I think bringing it back to those relationships is such a key point for any success in any business, not just real estate. What would you say is the next thing that you would attribute to? And I don't mean like door knocking or like, how do you inspire your team?
Yeah.
Because that's a big one for success, is to keep that group of people engaged, inspired, focused, and motivated.
Yeah. So I think making sure your team is, quote unquote, doing their job is not a problem that I have.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I'll tell you, I think it's because we start with our culture code, right? There's no micromanagement. There's no sort of, accountability check-ins. It's almost like provoked independent effort. And what I mean by that is I challenge them to understand whatever they do, they reap. And if you choose to wake up and go on Instagram and Netflix, I am not going to coddle you into $100,000.
No.
Right? I'm going to be there to support you as an entrepreneur. Be there to support you as a self-driven person. Now, don't get me wrong. There's frustrations along the way.
Of course.
And we're navigating a recessive market where volume is significantly down. But we're doing that in a way where we don't have expectation that this will be like a record-breaking year, but we'd like to hold our ground.
Yes.
Right? And, just like reframing with a seller, that maybe you're not going to get a record high on your house, but you're going to move into the next one and we're going to actually sell your house while the other 6 sit. Maybe saying to your team, hey, listen, maybe you're going to do 5 deals this quarter instead of 7 or 10, but you have to do the things that lead you there. Well, Rav, what do I do? Like, I wake up and I'm not sure. Okay, have you done the things that we said we're going to do?
Yeah.
Have you looked at your contract that you signed on September 5th? And have you committed to those things? And for me, the things that we do comes very naturally. And I'm navigating. I've got one guy on my team that's a little bit more introverted, not a client event guy, not a wheeler and dealer per se. And we're navigating, well, what works for you?
Yeah.
What do you, how can we cater your success in a way that works for you? Right? Like, I think just like catering listing, marketing and prep and story around a listing is unique, I think we have to look at our team and say, okay, well, we know that we have these 15 ways to build a business. What are you going to do? Like, God, if I asked 2 of my team members, I'm like, listen, we got to do video, guys. I've got content day booked, and you got to come, and we're going to shoot, and I'm going to go, and the camera guy is going to say, okay, action. I know what's going to happen. Like, for the next 3 minutes, you're going to look like this, right?
Everyone has that on their team, right?
Right? And that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to do video, what are you going to do? Oh, well, I don't like open house. Okay, if you don't like open house, what are you going to do? Oh, well, I don't like cold leads. Okay, well, online leads are out. What are you going to do? Well, you got to figure out what works, right?
Personalize a strategy to the agent's strengths, but challenge them to step out of their comfort zone to try new things.
And, it's... If you say, oh, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, maybe the problem is not maybe the problem is you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people complain way too much in our industry.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, come on, man. Like, this is a beautiful business. You just got to roll up your sleeves. Figure out what lane you want to get in and go there.
That's right. And one of the big things I've been really focusing with my team, and maybe you can relate, is instead of focusing on what doesn't work, why not focus on what does?
Yes.
So train your mind to look at something to move forward towards your goal rather than dwelling on the things that you don't like doing, you don't want to do, and you've already created that mindset that it's not going to work. Yeah. It's all about abundance mindset. It's about challenging yourself, but instead of saying, oh, I don't want to do social media because I hate it, why not say, I understand the benefits of social media, so I'm going to tailor it to fit my needs.
Yeah.
Make it positive.
And reframing the conversation always works.
It does.
Like, I have a good friend in Markham. His name's Ralph. And I said, I don't really like doing open houses. He's like, but you love throwing parties.
Yeah.
He said, invite all your clients in the area, barbecue some hot dogs in the back, make some mimosas, and put on a movie for the kids. And all of a sudden, you're going to have the best open house that was ever had in the neighborhood. And I mean, I still don't like open houses because they're on Saturdays and Sundays from 2 to 4. Like, who
created that? Yeah, I know that.
That,
you know what?
right?
That's it. We're making them on Mondays at 10 a.m.
Right? But reframe the conversation.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
What's your superpower? Right?
Yeah.
And I will share one more thing. I think that this is important for anyone who's starting in real estate or who's building some lead generation programs or wants the success. 18 months. If you're going to give anything a try it every day for 18 months. You know, if you have a restaurant and you start a restaurant, the break-even point is probably about 18 months. If you finance a construction project, maybe it's going to take 5 years before you turn a profit.
Yeah.
But yet, we're like, well, I got to pay my mortgage in November and you need deals. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
Give yourself 18 months, and I promise if you do what works, and we know what works, in month 19, you're going to say, wow, I have a business.
And that's because in a world where we expect instant validation, we've taken away the one tool to success, which is consistency. And you may not see the results of your work right away, but under the surface, there is a bubbling happening. When you show up every day, you do the necessary tasks, and you give yourself the time in order to see those results start to come to fruition. But it's the instant validation, right? That's an unfortunate thing because real estate is not instant.
Kate, I'm going to share with you just a quick story here. So on May 20th, I was hospitalized. I had a small issue with my common bile duct. And for the last 2 years, I'm like, I want to lose some weight. You know, I just want to lose some weight. And I didn't. I put on weight, right? I was having a good time. And then I got hospitalized. My why became really strong. My need became front and center. I knew what I had to do. And I've done it from May to now, and I've lost 30 pounds.
Good for you.
But it's because I was motivated and inspired, consistent, patient. You know what you have to do. There's no magic book that's going to tell you what you have to do. I just told you 5 things to do, but you have to do it consistently for time.
That's right.
So
I agree.
For the weight, I do 15,000 steps a day, and I don't eat sugar. And before I'd say I should. Now I just do.
Yes,
right?
That's right. It's a mindset change. It's a switch, and you have to commit to that consistency, right?
Yeah.
So then, I mean, once again, like I could just sit here and gobble up all of these pieces, and that's what I love about you is it's very simple instruction, but it's so often overlooked because people are looking for the quick fix. Yeah. What's that secret sauce? What am I going to do to get rich quick? And that's not what real estate is. That's not what life is.
No.
But if you had to narrow down one thing, and I'm going to say to new agents, because coming into this business can feel like a whirlwind. So many things you have to learn, so many systems you have to put into place. You're all of a sudden an entrepreneur and a business owner. If you could pick one thing that you wished you had not focused so much on, or advice now with the experience that you have, what would you say to new realtors? Listen, don't focus on this. It's a time waster. It's going to cause you heartache. It's going to give you frustration. What would that be for you?
I would say avoid all the noise that you hear from spending too much time with just real estate agents. Yeah. I would say, you know what? Your job is very simple. And this is literally every new agent, please listen to this and just do this. Sort and qualify your database into 100 people who will advocate for you and want to see you do well. If you don't have 100 people, do something called a mayor campaign, where you call the people around you and say, listen, I'm in real estate. Would you like to be part of my VIP client program? After you've done that, create value through things like what we talked about and just focus on those people. Too many people have you ever had someone come into the office? They come to the office every day, but you don't see them on the board writing deals ever because all they're doing is just focusing on office drama and the world of real estate.
Yeah, all the things that aren't working.
Yeah, if you could sign up for all the training in the world but not implement any of it, guess what? You're a professional student.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, students pay tuition, they don't make money.
Yeah.
Right? In real estate, you got to be in action with people who want to see you do well.
That's right. And I mean, once again, you go out for coffee every day with real estate agents and you surround yourself with the people who have nothing but negative things to say. You're really not going to go places.
No drama. We'll get the negativity out and replace it with inspiration.
Yes, I agree. I love that. And actually, the question I'm going to ask you from Shay is really centered around, in my opinion, your team. And the question she asked our next guest, which is you, is what are the 3 things that you're doing to protect your passion, your energy, and your people around you?
Yeah, so very simple. The first thing with regards to energy, I do not take calls, I book calls. All right? So imagine you're a doctor. Like I have a call with a doctor on September 8th at 9 a.m. And I'm like salivating for the opportunity to talk to that person. But yeah, realtors, we just talk to anybody who'll breathe in our direction.
Yeah.
Don't take calls, book calls. My phone's outside while we're doing this, but I've got a call booked at 12:30.
Yeah.
Right? Second thing, find what you love. Find what your superpowers are. Do that. I'm a client guy. I'm a client event guy. I'm a social guy. I like people. I can't sit down and, work cold prospects all day because it doesn't work with me. I want to kiss babies and shake hands.
Yeah.
Right? So find what works for you and cater your business to you.
Yeah.
And then third thing, time off. Right? A lot of people, as they get busier, they start to run towards that burnout goal.
Yes, they do.
And for me, I know what ladder I'm on, and it doesn't all have to do with more deals. Right? I'm very successful in my own right because I know where I'm going. I know how to get there. And when I'm on the Amalfi Coast next August or the August after for the entire month, my business is running on my own, I would have won that game. Right? And for me, it's all a game, right? It's an adventure.
Yeah.
Now I'm exploring YouTube a lot because I see opportunity there, but I know that the residuals in probably 2025.
Yeah.
But it's a game, right?
Yeah.
And it gets fun when you're managing your finances and you've sorted and qualified your... Guys, sort and qualify your database, run the Mayor campaign. Just do the same thing I said 4 times in this podcast.
Yeah.
Once you do that and you're making your money, you get to kind of enjoy life.
Yeah, and you get to protect your energy. And I will say that was a hard lesson for me. I am such a competitive person with myself. And you know what? Admittedly so, it took 10 years to figure out that life is more than transacting. Life is about the moments you have with your clients, with your family, and what you do in deals does not define you. And actually, that came from one of my agents last night, Stacey Wells, and I took me so long to get there.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you need to understand who you are and what you truly want in life. And I think that's such a great tip for realtors because the burnout is real. And it's amongst our peers. And I see people and that's where you start to see that heaviness come into them and they start to lack appreciation for our business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love that. And the challenge she has for you.
Okay.
And I love this challenge because I think this is so up your alley is she's challenging you for the next week to do 3 unique pay it forward gestures to people who are not your clients, not your database, and not your team. So that could be one of the examples she gave is she loves going to Starbucks and seeing someone who might need a little pick-me-up that day and buying their coffee. But being there, not just in the lineup of Tim Hortons or whatever and saying, oh, your coffee's free, the next person. It's go up to that person and do a kind, unique gesture. And that's her challenge for you for the next week. I love that too.
As a matter of fact, we call it RAC, Random Acts of Kindness. We practice that all the time. So like my daughter and I, we went last Wednesday to buy a shirt. And we were in line. The girl behind us we were buying pizza. It's a Puzzatiri. I said, I'm going to, he's like, one slice. Actually, I said two. I'll just take care of this person behind me. And she looked at me shocked.
Yeah.
She's probably like 18. She said, I've had a bad week.
I love that.
And I really appreciate this. And whether she had a bad week or a good week, just sprinkle some kindness out there, right?
Yeah.
It's a superpower.
It is a superpower, and it's a great energy to output to the world. And so next, I would like you to come up with a question and a challenge for our next guest, which we will be announcing in a couple weeks towards the end of October.
Beautiful.
What would you like to ask our next guest, and what challenge would you like to give them?
Okay, so I have a question that so I'm speaking at Buzz, and this is part of the sort of theme of that. It's now what? All right? And what I mean by that is, okay, you got the car, you got the thriving business, you take your vacations, you got a nice house. Whatever it is, you've kind of figured that and navigated it. Now what?
I love that.
What adventure are you going to go on?
Very good.
All right. And then the second thing, with regards to a challenge, I'm going to actually pinpoint something really specific. All right.
Okay.
So we had the random acts of kindness, which I absolutely adore. I'm going to ask you just to find one agent licensed for 2 years or less and ask them if they'd like 30 minutes of your time to talk about challenges, pitfalls, successes, and wins.
Wow. So pass on the knowledge. I love that. That's amazing. Would you mind telling everyone where we can find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Ravi Singh Remax. I'm on YouTube at Ravi Singh Remax. I'm on pretty much everything. RAVISINGHREMAX. You can find, if you put that in, you're going to find
me. Well, thank you so much for making the drive from the GTA. We are so blessed to have had you come here today. Please watch our podcast in October. We have another great person, and I love the parallel personalities. We have Calm Ravi Singh, and next month we have one of my favorite realtors also in the Durham region or close by where you are. And so we'll be releasing that next month. So Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.